In today's video, we're going to go over 5 rules to manage your money like the rich, and these are as described by Dave Ramsey. Hi everyone, my name is Helen. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to go over 5 rules to manage your money like the rich as described by Dave Ramsey. The first rule to manage your money like the rich is to recognize that you reap what you sow. What that means is that whatever you're planting today, that's what you're going to get in the future tomorrow. So when you are looking at what you are going to do with your finances, you want to plant the seeds that are going to make it easier for you to actually accomplish your goals. What that means in the case of finance is that you get on a written budget, you make a plan, and then you stick to that plan. You have to also recognize that a budget is a plan of action, but it doesn't mean that when something happens like an emergency, that you can't deviate a little bit. Instead, you keep in mind that your budget is your base plan. That's a written plan that you are following to get your major finances under control. Then you do whatever it is that you can control. So every factor that's within your personal control, you take control of that and you use your plan to get that under control. And the final part of making a budget is that you just stick to it. You follow through with whatever plan that you have made. That is how you plant the seeds so that tomorrow whatever grows is what you want to. The second rule that Dave Ramsey describes to manage your money like the rich is to get out of debt. Now, when you have debt, that means that someone else has control over your finances and your life in some manner. Generally speaking, that means you owe the bank and you are spending money to give the bank. You're working for the bank and you're giving them your money. And the problem with debt is not just that you owe money somewhere to a bank, maybe to a friend, to some other source. It's that you owe interest, you have additional late fees, you have overdraft fees, you have other costs involved, and those add up very, very quickly. Now, when it comes to getting out of debt, that starts with following through on a budget and really planning out your method of getting your debt under control, paying it off, and then you just simply don't take debt after it's paid off. Of course, managing your money like the rich means you understand how debt works and how it is detrimental to your finances. It really helps if you recognize that while a lot of hype around debt makes it seem really useful, it actually is not good for your finances. You need to learn how to say no to taking debt and then to focus on finding ways to get your situation under control. The first few years of getting out of debt, it's very, very hard. We know from experience. My husband and I had $100,000 of debt between student loans and credit cards. We had to really work hard in order to pay off that debt, and it was a lot of sacrifice at that time. We made a lot of very firm decisions on what we would and would not buy, and if we couldn't buy it in cash, we simply didn't buy it. That's the type of mindset you need to have when it comes to your finances, and particularly when it comes to debt. Learn from our mistakes. We made the mistake of taking out too much debt, and it really came back and hurt us long term because at first, it took us 18 months just to get out of debt. That's before we were able to start saving money. And if we had had that extra time to save money, 18 months, we would have had our finances under control much sooner. So keep in mind, your goal is to get out of debt. The third rule that Dave Ramsey describes when it comes to managing your money like the rich is actually about fostering your relationships. Now, when he's describing fostering relationships, Dave Ramsey points out that when you have bad company, when you are around people who are not helping, who are detrimental to your goals, who are toxic, or who even encourage you to do things that are not good for you, those people will corrupt you. They will make you do things that you don't want to do, or they will make you do things that you maybe might have thought is a bad thing to do previously, but as you're being pressured into it, you start to think, oh, it's not so bad, until you find yourself in a financial hole. Instead of following the crowd and allowing your friends to corrupt you, you need to be very careful with your relationships. Wealthy people, they choose their relationships very carefully. They don't hang out with friends who are harmful to them. Instead, they get away from their toxic relationships and they foster friendships with people who, for example, manage their money well, who are focused on maybe being generous or being happy in their life, and they focus on friendships where people respect others. These are the type of friendships that you want to foster because these are the kind of friends that are going to help you long term to achieve your goals. These are the friends who are going to encourage you. Now, you do have to keep in mind that generally speaking, you are going to be the average of your 5 to 10 friends that you have, whether that be finances, whether that be other factors of your life. So if the friends that you see around you are negative influences, maybe you should start considering if those friendships are worth maintaining. And maybe it's time to foster some new friendships that will help you achieve your goals. The fourth rule to manage your money like the rich is to actually save and invest. Dave Ramsey points out that a foolish man is one who devours all that he has. A wise person puts something aside for emergencies, for the future, and for any kind of problems that may arise. Now, in the case of modern times, that means that you are saving your money and you are investing your money and you have an emergency fund to fall back on if something happens. We all learned with the last few years that unexpected emergencies can happen, unexpected, unforeseen situations can happen, and sometimes it helps to have some money to fall back on. It helps when you don't have to worry about, oh, maybe I might lose my job, or I might not have money to fall back on in an emergency if I have to go to the hospital. You need to take into account that an emergency fund is very useful to prevent any kind of anxiety in that regard. And furthermore, the more that you save and invest, the more you have for your future. That gives you a lot of buffer and a lot of freedom when it comes to your finances. Dave Ramsey points out that you cannot out-earn stupidity when it comes to your finances. So you need to make sure that you are taking the time to save as much as you can and then to invest it for your future so that you never find yourself in financial strife. The fifth way to manage your money like the rich is to actually give generously. Now, when it comes to your money, of course, if you are struggling financially, this is not the time to be giving generously. You do not want to give money away when you have debt, when your own finances are not in order. However, once you get to a point where your finances are under control and you are at that point where you're no longer focusing inward on fixing your own life, but where you can actually take a look outward and see, oh, my friends need some help, my family members need some help, someone I care about needs help, then you give generously in those situations. Maybe you pay for a family member to have a nice meal, or you even take them to the grocery store and buy their groceries for a week because you see that they're struggling. Or maybe you pay a neighbor's light bill, or you help others in ways that are very beneficial to them, but not necessarily beneficial in your life. Giving generously means giving in charity to someone in need. When you are struggling, it always helps when someone reaches out a hand and assists you. Now, obviously, we all have different ways of giving generously. And if you're not financially in that point, but you do want to give, you can always give of your time. You can volunteer. You can do things in your community that are helpful, but not necessarily financial. And when you do get to a point where your finances are now under control, you are stable, you are financially free, you can start considering ways in which you can give back financially as well. So that's it for today's video. If you like the video, do subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.